Imagine holding in your hand what looks like an ordinary penny. You toss it in a jar, spend it without thinking, or drop it in your car's cup holder. But what if I told you that one of those plain copper coins from 1961 could quietly be worth as much as $823,000 today? Yes, you heard that right. A single cent that could change your entire financial future. Most people will pass it by without ever knowing they had a fortune in their pocket. The question is, could you be one of them? This story begins with the 1961 Lincoln 1-cent coin minted in Denver. The D mint mark, right under the date, might not mean much to the average person. But for collectors and experts, it can be the golden key to life-changing money. Millions of these coins were made, yet only a tiny fraction have the rare traits that make them so valuable. That's the mystery. How can something so common hold a secret so powerful? The history takes us back over 60 years. To a time when a loaf of bread was 21 cents and the U.S. Mint was pushing out coins at an incredible pace, the Denver Mint struck over 1.7 billion Lincoln pennies in 1961. Most were spent and forgotten, but a few were struck with unusual errors and in pristine condition, quietly setting themselves apart. These are the coins that now have collectors fighting to own them. One key detail to look for is the sharpness of the D mint mark. Versions, you'll see a doubled mint mark, where the D appears slightly stamped over itself. This is known as a repunched mint mark, and it's a sign that your penny could be far more valuable than face value. Another factor is the condition. Coins graded at the highest levels, showing no signs of wear, can command astronomical prices at auction. Imagine finding one of these flawless survivors in a family coin jar, but here's where the plot thickens. Some of these coins have tiny errors you can barely spot without magnification. A misaligned die, a die crack, or even subtle variations in the lettering can make all the difference. And here's the twist. Many people throw these away, thinking they're just normal change. That means every day someone could be losing hundreds of thousands of dollars without even realizing it. So how do you know if you have the right one first? Check the date. It must be 1961 with a clear D mint mark. Next, inspect the mark closely for doubling or other irregularities. Use a magnifying glass if you can, then look at the coin's condition. It appears almost brand new, with sharp edges and no scratches. You might have something worth sending to a professional grading service. That grading could be the ticket to a 6 or even 7-figure sale. And here's the cliffhanger. In one remarkable auction, 1961 D Lincoln penny in near-perfect condition sold for a price that shocked even the most seasoned collectors. We'll get to that in just a moment, but before we do, ask yourself this. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny before spending it? Could you be holding history without even knowing now? Back to that sale. In recent years, one of these rare coins went for over $800,000 at auction. The buyer knew exactly what they were getting, and the seller walked away with a life-changing sum from something most people would ignore. Experts say the combination of rarity, condition, and historical significance is what drives the price sky high. And with more people becoming interested in rare coins, values are only expected to climb. Collectors stress that the opportunity is now. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to find these treasures in the wild. Every day, coins disappear into private collections, never to be seen again on the open market. If you have a stash of old change, if you've inherited coins from a relative, or even if you've just got a coffee can full of pennies, this is your wake-up call. The truth is, stories like this are not just about coins. They are about the thrill of the hunt, the joy of discovery, and the very real possibility of changing your life overnight. All it takes is curiosity, a little knowledge, and the willingness to look closely at what's in your hand. So here's your challenge. After watching this, take a few minutes to go through your coins. Search for that 1961 D penny. Check every detail. You might be holding the key to a debt-free life, a dream vacation, or even early retirement. And if you want to learn more secrets about rare coins that can put serious money in your pocket, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. Your next big find could be just one coin away. Just 1 cent. something you might toss into a jar without a second thought. But what if I told you that one particular penny from 1967, with no mint mark, has been known to sell for as much as $820,000? Most people have walked right past it, spent it on gum, or dropped it in the couch, never knowing they just gave away a fortune. The truth is, this tiny coin hides in plain sight. You might have one in your house right now. Here's the shocking part. Most people would never recognize it even if it was sitting on their kitchen table. Why is that? Because it looks almost identical to the billions of other pennies produced. That year, the difference is hidden in its history and the smallest details you can imagine. Let's go back to the 1960s. America was in the middle of massive change. The Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for decades, and in 1967 something unusual happened. The U.S. Mint was struggling to meet the demand for coins, and for 3 years they suspended the mint marks that normally tell you where the coin was made. That means Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, all those little letters you usually see were missing. But here's where the mystery deepens. Most of those 1967 no mint mark pennies are worth just a penny today, except for a few rare survivors that were struck with extraordinary precision using highly polished dies, and in some cases, with rare errors that make them incredibly valuable to collectors. This is where your curiosity should spike. Because somewhere in America, in an old coffee can, in a desk drawer, or in your childhood coin collection, one of these rare pieces could be hiding. And it is not just about the missing mint mark. The valuable ones have subtle signs like a razor sharp strike, strong luster, and sometimes an off-center image or doubled lettering. Some have a distinctive sheen that makes them look almost proof-like even though they were meant for circulation. Now, here is a cliffhanger for you. One of the most valuable 1967 no mint mark pennies ever found was not sitting in a display case. It was pulled from a random coin roll that cost less than $1. Imagine that moment. You open the roll, you see something a little shinier. You put it under a magnifying glass, and then realize you are staring at a six-figure payday. So how can you spot one of these treasures? First, check the date. Make sure it reads 1967, and there is no mint mark under the year. Then look closely at Lincoln's profile and the lettering. Is there any doubling on words like liberty or in God, trust? Does the surface have a mirror-like finish, unlike the dull look of most pennies? Check for any unusual spacing or faint die cracks that might show up near the rim. Even small imperfections can add huge value. The reason these coins can fetch such staggering prices comes down to rarity and demand. Collectors are obsessed with finding coins in the highest possible grade. The difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth hundreds of thousands is often just a matter of condition and the smallest quirks in the minting process. It is a reminder that sometimes the smallest details create the biggest rewards. You might be wondering if people really pay that much. The answer is yes. In recent years, top-graded examples of the 1967 no mint mark Lincoln cent have shocked the auction world. One pristine example crossed the auction block for well over $800,000. Others in slightly lower grades have still sold for tens of thousands. These are not myths. They're documented sales with real buyers and real checks written. An expert once said that coins like this are like lightning in a bottle. They are almost impossible to find, but when you do, they can change your life instantly. And here is another surprise. Many valuable finds have come from people who were not even coin collectors, just regular folks who decided to look closely at the change in their pocket one night. So picture this. You finish watching this video, you grab a small box of old coins, maybe a jar from the garage, and as you sift through them, your heart starts racing. The year 1967, no mint mark. The shine is different. You grab a magnifying glass, and suddenly you realize you are holding something that could pay off your mortgage, fund your retirement, or send your kids to college. Time is not on your side. Every day, coins are lost, damaged, or spent without a second glance. That rare 1967 penny could already be out there slipping through the cracks. Do not let it be the one that got away. If you want to turn pocket change into life-changing money, start looking today. Check every coin that passes through your hands. Share this knowledge with friends and family. If you want more tips on finding and selling rare coins for maximum profit, make sure you subscribe and keep watching. Your next discovery could be the moment everything changes. You pour them out on the table, and there it is. A single, ordinary-looking coin staring back at you. You pick it up, turn it over, and think nothing of it. But what if that penny could pay off your mortgage, buy you a brand new car, or even change your retirement plans forever? Yes, I'm talking about a single 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny without a mint mark. A coin so overlooked that most people have spent it without knowing its true worth. And here's the twist. Some of these have been valued at over $800,000. The thought alone should make you want to check every penny you own before it's too late. So how can a 1-cent coin carry a price tag that rivals luxury homes? That's where the mystery begins. Back in 1977, the United States Mint produced millions of Lincoln cents. Most were stamped with small letters beneath the year, marking the mint where they were made. But a rare, almost mythical batch left the presses without any mint mark at all. To the untrained eye, they looked no different from pocket change. To a coin collector, they were a jackpot hiding in plain sight. Now, here's where it gets fascinating. The no mint mark error wasn't a simple oversight. In the world of coin production, removing a mint mark can happen when a die is replaced or repaired and the mark simply isn't added back in. Sometimes this is caught quickly, but in rare cases, coins slip through, circulate, and vanish into the hands of everyday people. That's exactly what happened in 1977. You might be wondering, how do you know if your penny is one of these treasures? First, look closely at the year on the front. If you see 1977 with no small letter under it, you've passed the first test. Then, examine the details. The valuable examples are usually in pristine, uncirculated condition. Sharp edges, clean fields, and no signs of wear. Some even have faint die errors like doubling in the lettering or Lincoln's profile, making them even rarer. And here's a little cliffhanger for you. There's another detail about this coin that almost no one talks about. It's a tiny feature that could be the difference between a penny worth a few cents and one worth hundreds of thousands. We'll get to that in a moment, before we reveal it. Let's rewind to why collectors are willing to pay so much. In the numismatic world, rarity and condition are everything. The 1977 no mint mark penny checks both boxes. Fewer than a handful in top condition have ever surfaced, and when they do, auction houses light up. Wealthy collectors see them as status pieces, proof that they own something the average person doesn't even know exists. And in this game, the law of supply and demand sends prices skyrocketing. Now for that hidden feature, on some of the most valuable 1977 no mint mark pennies, experts have found extremely crisp strike quality due to fresh dies being used for that. Brief run. This gives the coin a rich, almost proof-like appearance that stands out under magnification. It's subtle, but to a trained eye, it's unmistakable. If your coin has this, you're not just holding a rare penny. You're holding a once-in-a-lifetime find. Just think about it. How many times have you tossed pennies into a tip jar or a parking meter without a second thought? One of them could have been your ticket to financial freedom. That's the thrill. And the heartbreak of coin hunting. Recent auction records tell the story. In one shocking case, a pristine example sold for over $817,000. Imagine being the person who found that in spare change. Other well-kept examples have fetched tens of thousands, even in slightly lower grades. And every time one is sold, the remaining ones become even more desirable. Driving up future prices, coin experts urge collectors and everyday people alike to check their 1970s pennies now. Every year that passes, these coins become harder to find. The window of opportunity is closing, and with the current collector market hotter than ever, waiting could mean missing out entirely. So here's the reality. Somewhere, maybe even in your own home, a little copper coin could be hiding in a jar, a drawer, or a box in the attic. It won't shine like gold. It won't glow in the dark. But it could quietly hold the power to transform your life. If you want to give yourself the best chance, start today. Gather your pennies, sort them carefully, and examine every 1977 you find. Pay attention to the details. No mint mark, exceptional condition, and that sharp, crisp strike could be the sign you've struck numismatic gold. Opportunities like this don't come often. You can either ignore it and let the chance slip through your fingers, or you can take action now, check your coins, and maybe be the next person making headlines for finding a fortune in plain sight. Stay curious, stay determined, and keep hunting. There's treasure out there, and it just might be in your pocket. You toss it into a jar without a second thought. But what if that single penny could change your entire financial future? Right now, there is a 1987 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin that has sold for up to $808,000. Yes, you heard that right. Okay, almost $1 million for a coin that most people ignore. And the craziest part, it could already be sitting in your pocket change. Most people overlook this coin because it blends in with every other penny. They see Abraham Lincoln's profile, the familiar words, the date, and they move on. But what if I told you there are tiny details, invisible to the untrained eye, that separate an ordinary 1-cent piece from one of the most valuable coins in modern U.S. history? This is where the mystery begins. Before we reveal exactly how to spot one, let's step back in time. The year is 1987. The Denver Mint is striking millions of pennies. Copper was already phased out, so the coin's core was mostly zinc, coated in copper. They were meant to be everyday workhorses of the economy, passing quickly from hand to hand. But during production, certain rare errors slipped through. Some were struck with doubled images. Some had misaligned dies. Some even had tiny minting. Flaws that make collectors' hearts race today. These are the mistakes that transform a humble penny into a treasure. Here is where most people miss the jackpot. They never look closely. But collectors know what to watch for. Start with the date. On the rarest examples, the numbers may look slightly doubled under magnification. Then check the D mint mark just below the year. In some valuable errors, it appears misplaced, filled in, or unusually shaped. Look carefully at Lincoln's eye, his bow tie, and the edges of the lettering. Tiny imperfections here can mean huge payouts later, and here's the cliffhanger you did not expect. One particular 1987 D penny was discovered with an extremely rare die error so unusual that experts called it a once-in-a-lifetime find. That coin went to auction and shocked the coin world when it sold for over $800,000. Imagine the person who found it. One moment they are sorting change. The next, they are holding a fortune. Now, why is this coin worth so much? Part of it is rarity, part of it is demand. Serious collectors are willing to pay almost anything for the few known examples. Because once they disappear into private collections, they may never come back on the market. That scarcity drives the price sky high. Recent auctions have shown this again and again. A well-preserved 1987 D penny with a rare minting error sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Another, with slightly less dramatic features, still brought in tens of thousands. Even common-looking coins with minor errors can fetch surprising amounts. And experts warn that as more people start checking their change, the opportunities to find one will shrink fast. So here's your wake-up call. That jar of coins in your kitchen could hold something that pays off your mortgage, wipes out your debt, or funds your dream retirement. But only if you take the time to look. Check your 1987 D pennies. Use a magnifying glass. Study every detail. Compare it to online reference images from trusted coin grading services. If you think you have something special, get it authenticated immediately. Do not spend it. Do not clean it. And do not wait too long. The truth is, wealth does not always come from big investments or risky ventures. Sometimes it hides in the smallest places, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. And if you are hearing this, you now have the knowledge to be that person. Go through your change, search your coin jars. Look at every 1987 D penny like it could be the one. Because maybe, just maybe it is. And if you want more tips on spotting rare coins and turning them into cash, make sure you stick around for the next video. Your future fortune could be just 1 penny away. Have you ever held a penny in your hand and thought it was worth only 1 cent? What if I told you there's a penny out there that looks almost identical to every other one in your change jar? But it could be worth more than a brand new luxury. Home, right now. One specific 1982 penny without a mint mark has sold for as much as $813,000. And the wildest part? Most people who've had it never knew. It likely passed through coffee shop counters, parking meters, and kids' piggy banks. Without anyone realizing they were holding a fortune, let's pull back the curtain on this mystery. Imagine you're sifting through a handful of old coins. In a dusty jar, you see the familiar Lincoln design, a worn copper glow, and the date 1982. You think nothing of it? But on closer inspection, something unusual catches your eye. There's no little letter under the date, no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, just the plain date and Lincoln staring off into history. That tiny absence, that missing mint mark, is the key that can unlock a life-changing payday. But how did this happen? The year 1982 was a turning point for the Lincoln cent. For decades, pennies had been made of 95% copper. In 1982, due to rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint switched to a copper-plated zinc composition. That same year, both copper and zinc, pennies were made, and the changeover led to several varieties being struck. Somewhere in this shuffle, a batch of Philadelphia minted cents with no mint mark were struck with a unique die variety. These coins slipped quietly into circulation, blending in with millions of ordinary pennies. Here's where it gets tricky. Not every 1982 penny without a mint mark is valuable. In fact, most are worth face value. The rare ones have very specific traits. The key is in the details. The valuable variety is the 1982 no mint mark copper small date penny, copper cents. From that year weigh about 3.11 grams, while the zinc ones weigh only 2.5 grams. So a simple scale can help you narrow it down. As for the small date feature, look closely at the number 2 in the date. On the small date, the top of the 2 curves in a more delicate arc, and the overall numbers appear slimmer and more refined than the large date version. Spotting these differences takes practice, but once you see them, you can't unsee them. Now here's your first cliffhanger. What if I told you that the most valuable example wasn't found in a collector's vault, but in loose change? Means one could be sitting in your coin jar right now. Imagine dumping out that jar, picking through each penny, suddenly realizing you're holding a piece of metal worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So why are these coins so valuable? It comes down to rarity, condition, and collector demand. The error happened in such small numbers that very few survive today, and most of those are worn from circulation. When one appears in near-perfect condition, collectors are willing to fight for it. It's how we get those six-figure auction prices. Let's fast forward to recent years. In a headline-making sale, pristine 1982 no mint mark small date copper penny went under the hammer for $813,000. Another example, slightly less perfect, still sold for tens of thousands. Imagine bidding wars, where each raise could buy a new car. This is not a fantasy. It's happening right now in the world of rare coins. Here's a surprising fact to keep you on your toes. Some coin dealers actively search bank-wrapped rolls of pennies just to find this variety. They'll spend hours, even days, going through thousands of coins. Why? Because that one rare find could instantly pay for months of searching. So what should you do? The first step is to check your coins. Look at every 1982 penny you come across. Weigh it. Examine the date style. Even if you think it's just a penny, remember that the next one you touch could be a ticket to financial freedom, and here's your final cliffhanger. Somewhere out there, a 1982 no mint mark copper small date penny in perfect condition still sits undiscovered. Will it be found by a coin dealer, or will it be sitting in your change waiting for you to notice? If this story has taught you anything, it's that wealth sometimes hides in plain sight. You don't need a treasure map. You just need awareness, patience, and the courage to look. So check your coins. Learn the signs. You might just change your life with the smallest piece of currency in America. For more tips on finding and selling Rare coins for the best price. Make sure you join this journey and subscribe. The next great discovery could be yours.